Thank you, Presiding Officer. And may I say how cruel it is that Graham Day should bring this subject to Parliament today, because today is one of my 2 no-food days in an attempt to contain the ever-expanding waistline, which is caused entirely by my love of food, much of it the good quality Scottish food. So I'm not necessarily pleased with my colleague about this. He, of course, omitted one of the gems of his area. I'm really quite mystified by this, which I would enjoy and others would, which, of course, is the forfar bridie, which I understand protected status. It's not you can... Oh, I beg your pardon. I have just had the whisper that it might be Angus, but it's not his constituency, so he may be forgiven. But speaking of the smoky, I sort of thought to myself that we might pray for an Indian summer. We haven't put the barbecue away. And I see this smoky sitting in our barbecue, wrapped in a piece of tin foil, with some Graham's spreadable butter, which of course includes oilseed rape, which is brought to the peak of culinary excellence by a farmer adjacent to Peterhead, and of course Scottish butter. But it would also have garlic from Elgin. And I now know that, of course, I'd be able to, while watching that and smelling that delicious food from Angus cooking on the barbecue, I can now sip gin from an Angus distillery. But even better, we could get sloes from Dumfriesshire, which is the best place to get them, and make sloe gin, whose sweetness would just absolutely augment that. So I'm beginning to slaver in anticipation of the event that takes place at 6 o'clock. I still have 350 calories I'm allowed to eat today, so I hope to join Graham Day. But I will say, notwithstanding the excellent food that there is from Angus, I do think we're missing the creme de la creme of food, which I have a secret deal, and I'm going to reveal for the very first time. Not at the most recent election, but the one before that, my Conservative opponent was a fisherman called Michael Watt, who I get on with extremely well, very nice chap. He supplies me with cod roe, and there is nothing on earth that I love more than cod roe. I have to say, of course, that we're going to have to move it up the food chain as well, and I think the new name for cod roe is Scottish white caviar. And I look forward to seeing it marketed as that in future. But in all seriousness, Presiding Officer, the Scottish Government, with the support of people across the Chamber, promotes the Good Food Nation policy. Because what we eat determines our health, determines our girth, determines much of our economy. Peter Chapman correctly referred to the economic value of good quality food. We're not going to compete with the rest of the world on price where food's concerned. That's very unlikely. There's very few things we can compete on price. But we will always be able to compete on quality. And I'm delighted to find that Angus is stepping up to the mark, seeking to meet and perhaps even overtake in some distant point in time the quality of the food that we have been producing for many years in the northeast of Scotland. So I congratulate the food producers of Angus on their efforts. I look forward to tasting more of them in future. And of course, it's not just farmers. I also look forward to the ripening brambles I see in my hedgerows as part of the natural foraging that provides such excellent food from Scotland's nature bounty we can all enjoy. Presiding Officer.